welcome into Cross My Heart Ministry. I guess I should say Happy New Year. It is the first Martha Monday of the new 2025 year. But as you can tell, I'm still kind of in holiday mode here. We kind of got the Christmas stuff still up and as I'm recording this. And so because it is the new year, I want to mention a couple of things to you. We will be starting back to our regular weekly Bible study here in Northwest Arkansas, completing the study through the book of Nehemiah. That begins in just a couple of days on January 15th. So if you are studying with us from afar, you can look for that next teaching lecture on Friday. If you haven't jumped in, it's not too late because all the videos have been recorded. You can check the playlist and go back and review every teaching video. You can reach out to us at cross.my.heart@cox.net and make arrangements for us to even send you a book if you would like to do the study questions as well. Also, wanted to mention our 2025 bookmarks. Now, if you are a regular subscriber, you know that each month Cross My Heart Ministry publishes a bookmark for the month. We choose a word for each month. So I've got all 12 here. We begin the year in January with glory, and we're going to end the year in December with joy. So I'm excited about doing the verses on glory because it speaks to our very purpose, the reason for our existence. We just published a video that you can go back and look at that introduces the glory bookmark. But I wanted to mention that we offer all these as a complete set to you. If you would like to reach out to me, again, at that same email address to make arrangements for how you can just get the complete set up front and then not have to wait each month for those to publish, or you can do it as you go along. But I wanted to mention that these are all available, and we hope that you will be writing the word with us this year. There's a couple of videos that have already published. When we're not teaching and we don't have a teaching video published, we go ahead and do a devotional every Friday. So those two, if you go back and preview the last 2 Fridays, you'll see the devotional videos we've already published. Again, verses from the word glory. But today is Martha Monday, so we're back in the kitchen doing a recipe for you. Because it's January, because it's winter, I thought I would share a new soup recipe with you. Now, this is one that I got from my friend Kathy. I went to visit her recently in Dallas. She made this delicious soup for us, and I just had to have the recipe. And it's so easy. It just makes it just an absolute delight. So you can throw this in the crock pot. It's good and ready to go. And so literally, these are the ingredients. And when you watch me put this together, you're going to want to run to the store and get all these ingredients and make it for yourself as well. So whether you're just going to whip this up and serve it with some chips and cheese or some fresh bread or rolls for your family, I think soup is always a great make and take recipe. If someone has had surgery or had a new baby or maybe a death in the family, soup is just sort of a nice thing to have on hand to warm up because there's always all those casseroles and things. And I think soup is just delicious and warm and comforting in the winter. And this one is very hearty. It's got all the beans, and then it's also got the ground beef. So off camera, I've already browned my ground beef. It calls for 1.5 pounds of ground beef. And of course, I had to throw in a little onion. The recipe didn't call for it, but when a recipe calls for ground beef and I'm mixing it together with something, almost always just have to dice up a little bit of onion to go with it as well. The next thing is a can of Rotel tomatoes. These are the ones with a little seasoning in them, just a little spice. And I did not go ahead. I've cleaned the tops of the cans. I did not open them up. Wanted to demonstrate my handy dandy little Pampered Chef can opener. I love this can opener because it doesn't have any sharp edges. Maybe I didn't go all the way around. And so when you take it off, it just sort of, what it does is sort of releases the glue. And so the edges are totally smooth. You can't cut yourself. It just sort of releases the glue that is glued the top on. So that's really nice. And no payment coming back from Pampered Chef for having given that little plug, but it is one of my favorite ingredients. In fact, the container here that's going to go into my crock pot is called a rock crock, and that is also a Pampered Chef product. And the thing that's so cool about this is you can brown your ground beef on top of the oven. You can use this and bake in the oven, and it comes with the lid. Or I bought this base, and you can use it as a crock pot. So it's a multi-purpose, handy-dandy little pot that can be used to cook things in multiple ways, and I just love it. Okay, so I did the Rotel tomatoes. Next is the ranch beans. These you do not drain because you would drain away all of the delicious flavor that is packed into here. I'm using a spatula to make sure that I get out all of that delicious sauce that's on top of the ranch beans. You don't want to miss any little bit of flavor. So I'm cleaning that out really well. Really, I'm just opening up cans and dumping. Next are black beans. And you do need to rinse and drain the black beans. And so I went ahead and rinsed and drained those before I started. So I had those in the bowl all ready to go. And then a can of hominy, and I also drained that. The hominy was a new one. That was the surprise ingredient in this recipe, but it gave it a little bit of texture and just a delicious flavor. Hominy comes from corn, if you didn't know that. My mom used to serve hominy once in a while when I was a kid, growing up in West Virginia, but just hadn't had hominy for years, and it was delicious in there. And then the final two ingredients we're going to pop in are two different seasoning packets, one taco seasoning and the other ranch salad dressing and seasoning mix. So just going to tear the top off of these envelopes, dump in. You can see all the different flavors that are being mixed together from the Rotel and the ranch beans, and now these seasonings as well. Actually, there is another ingredient after this. The recipe calls for 1 to 2 cans of water. So when I rinsed my black beans and my hominy, I went ahead and filled up these 2 cans with some water. So I've got 2 cans of water here that I'm going to add in together. Now, the recipe says that you can just mix all this into a pot, and you can do it on top of the stove, get it to boiling, and then simmer it for about 30 minutes. I'm going to use my crock pot instead, my rock crock base. Actually, it doubles as a crock pot. And I'm going to just cook this slowly. It says for about 4 hours. So it will get, it's a little soupy. It's very thick, but the liquid is thin right now, of course, because it's got that water in it. But this, like all soups and all chilies, you know this if you've made homemade soup, it's always better the next day. So I'm going to mix this up this evening and probably not serve it until tomorrow night. I'll heat it up again tomorrow. But I've just learned it's always better the next day. So I'm going to do this, serve it to my husband and me one day, and then have a friend who is having knee replacement surgery. So they're going to get this and some homemade bread from us to let them know that we care about them and we're praying for them. I will take a picture of this soup after it's been bubbling and going so that you can see a picture of it on screen. If I try to tilt it up and let you look, I will dump it out all over the counter. As always, we'll add a link below where you can download your very own copy. But honestly, there are so few ingredients, you'll probably remember them. Just open up the cans and start dumping. So I hope that you are inspired to make some homemade soup for your family. After you've made homemade soup, you're just never going to want to buy that canned prepared stuff in the store again. How can we even call that real soup, right? So I hope you'll give this a try and consider taking it, making it and taking it, or making it and eating it at home for your family. So for Cross My Heart Ministry, I'm Laurie McFarland. I want to encourage you to keep your tummy warm and your family warm by serving up soup, but also to keep your heart and your spirit warm by abiding in the Word of God this year. Let us know if you'd like a set of our bookmarks. Have a blessed new year and stay warm in the month of January. Again, for Cross My Heart Ministry, I'm Laurie McFarland. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us.